There you go.
And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. With me here today is, as always, Mary Stowe, social media manager and host at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
I paused playing Xenoblade to be here. So
Wow, we are grateful you were able to put it down.
yeah.
I'm sure you're addicted like we all were at one point in our lives.
Yep.
And then next to her is, I guess I'll just say below her is Greg Bargus, writer over at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. I actually don't know if you're below her in the actual stream.
I think he's below her. I believe he is.
Yeah,
I'm watching it. He is.
Okay. Greg, how you doing?
You cut out, but I'm doing good.
My bad. Internet might be crappy this week as usual. I mean, not as usual. Just last week was bad, and
just
now,
don't leave us.
Now maybe this week. I mean, it could happen at any point. So when it does happen, Greg, you got to be ready to step into the hosting chair.
I think I'll just kick back last time. Just waiting for your return.
Yeah, it was just quiet. Just everyone stops talking.
Waiting for the second coming of Jesus.
Eric
Then we
just play
have
crickets.
John Frisha, indie developer and managing editor over at The Escapist. How you doing, John?
I'm here for the best part of my week, Brett.
It better be. It better be.
Why did I just think he was going to say, I'm here for the bitches? Why was I expecting
John would have
him to
said
say
that. That's why.
That's something John would have said for sure. Out of nowhere.
Get so many each week, yes.
I am here for the bitches. Me. Hello.
And the other guy who just got us demonetized because of YouTube's new policy is Brett Larson, the king daddy dilf of the podcast. How you doing, Brett?
What's up, you sexy cast of people?
And lastly, Eric on the ones and twos, streaming the show live from his supercomputer. Thank you, Eric. We love you. And let's get into the show, you guys. Ubisoft, what a terrible company. You know what I mean, Brett Larson? Just totally full of dumb
why
mistakes.
are we doing this?
Canceling 4 games. For some reason, still working on the pirate game that we were just talking about that I can't remember the name of anymore. Like, come on. Yeah, Skull and Bones. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to bring up Ubisoft as our opening topic because they're a company that I just truly do not understand the choices that they've made over the past 5-10 years now. Like, they almost completely gave up on anything that was remotely similar to a normal video game. The most normal games that they still make are Assassin's Creed. Aside from that, it's loot-driven games that are online. My dog is barking. It's multiplayer games that fail constantly. Hyperscape, where'd that go? Gee, I wonder how that game's doing. X Defiance, which got announced and then disappeared. Like, okay, and then apparently they are obsessed with putting Splinter Cell character, freaking Sam Fisher in everything, but never making
Except
an actual Splinter Cell game. Every choice that a company.
That,
yeah, they're remaking it, but like,
right.
no,
are they?
I gotta be honest.
That's true.
They're
First
remaking
off,
it right now.
That's true. Are they? But I gotta say, I never heard anyone clamoring for a remake. It was always give us a new Splinter Cell game. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. They could have, made a new experience instead of remaking a game and just retreading old ground. Just like they tried doing with, once again, Prince of Persia. Where's that game at? Canceled for all we know. Gone. Where's Beyond Good and Evil? Isn't that what it's called?
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like, where are these games? What are you doing? Like, every single area of this company is just messing up and making mistakes, canceling games, failed projects.
If this was like any other industry, I mean, they'd be gone in a second, man. If this was like a close friend of mine trying to, I got this great thing coming, I'd be like, we're not friends anymore. Fuck off.
Well,
honestly, though,
I think the thing that keeps them afloat is because they have.
Well, they're actually not really. Let's be honest. They're a company that is slowly drowning. They're not really.
But
they're not really floating right now.
Sorry. The thing that keeps them existing, I guess, is the fact that mixed in with all the bullshit is some truly good stuff too. I am a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed
Mhm.
franchise. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of the Far Cry franchise. I'm a big fan of Watch Dogs, but then you get
That
a lot of
franchise.
bullshit mixed in there too. What's that?
I mean, dude, the two things you just named are the only areas that I see them making decent choices. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. Everything else, Watch Dogs is a dead series. Like Legion was a
I thought
disappointment. I don't think they're
I thought
going to make
Legion-
another one.
I think they continue with Watch Dogs. I think that's something that's going to continue to generate money for them. One of
Yeah,
the few
I think
things
so.
that will keep people coming back. I
Yeah,
think
but those
personally-
games also have massive budgets too, and like where are they going to pull that money from?
And
from
especially
s-
Legion, because they went all out. And then I don't remember. I think it sold well
they didn't
initially,
get
but
that much of a return. Not the return they were expecting, but and this is from someone that Watch Dogs 2 was one of like my favorite games of all time. It definitely was like a step down from Watch Dogs 2, but it was still fun. It was still good. It was definitely a passable game. But yeah, since that and Vikings Valhalla, or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I don't remember anything from. Well, no, I like Far Cry 6 as well, but that was very divisive. Like people loved or
I mean, it
completely
was one of
didn't
the
give a shit
highest
about that
selling.
game.
It was one of the highest selling games of the year, and despite that, despite the successes, this is a company that could be out of business in the next 5 years. They could
Yeah,
be sold
that would
off.
be insane.
Like,
I would be so
It-
sad because I love Assassin's Creed so much. I'm sure someone would, buy the rights to that. if
Yeah,
that
these
happened,
IPs
but-
aren't going anywhere.
yeah,
right.
definitely.
But then again, look at Konami and like the Metal Gear has gone dormant. You have Castlevania that's been
Well,
dormant, and like, who would have ever
Well,
thought
at
that we
least,
wouldn't see a Metal Gear game for 8 years now, 9, something like
But
that.
Silent Hill has 20 projects going, and they're looking for more. Did you see that report?
Yeah.
I didn't
And
see
They're
that.
looking
Also-
for more projects.
The
Sorry.
dude who voices Raiden in Metal Gear Solid, he said like some random person tweeted at him about like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Is like, are we gonna see a sequel for like the 10-year anniversary? And he responded just like stay tuned for announcements in the next few weeks or
Yeah.
whatever in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that was
So-
weird. So
Apparently,
that was
Yeah.
actually
So
on the
people are-
news on the news
thing is
list.
happening. Mm.
So yeah, people are expecting some like Metal Gear Con thing, like an actual like a showcase. Which, dude, if that happened, I would lose my mind. I love
mean,
Metal
that'd be
Gear,
cool,
but
I mean, if they do
Yeah.
that like how they did with Silent Hill, that would be awesome. They announced
That
like
would
3
be-
projects at once.
Yeah.
I could picture
the
it.
problem-
Konami might come back swinging.
I've been expecting that to happen for so long. They just have too much goodness to not come back. But anyways, we're not talking about Konami.
Yet.
What else was I going to say about Ubisoft? They just seem like they are like if there's a candidate for any company who is like desperate to be acquired, I feel like it's them. Like, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, are they too prideful to be acquired though?
I don't
They-
see
I
it's
them
like, it's
doing
like
it.
financially,
I think they've been
they need
looking
it,
to
but are
sell
they too
the-
prideful?
Yeah, they've been looking to sell. That's at least
they?
what I've
Okay.
heard.
Yeah.
It's weird because like every game or every announcement that they've had is like it seems like their last gasp. Like, oh, we've got Skull and Bones still. We're still here. We still got Beyond Good and Evil too. Don't Just Dance. We got Just Dance coming. Don't forget about it.
Avatar's
we-
coming.
All I know
Yeah,
is if-
Avatar is
yeah,
coming.
God.
Honestly,
Forgot
though,
about
Avatar,
No,
that's
guys,
true, and that's
listen,
huge.
listen. Honestly, though, this could be the game that gets them out of like just
could.
completely thrives, and their games as service that they're looking for that ends up blowing up. They got
Avatar?
is it super,
Avatar.
yeah,
Yeah,
is it
they-
it's super massive. It's oh no, not super.
I think if it did, it'd be dumb luck.
what's the name of that studio? The Division studio.
It's
Oh, jeez.
It's something. Oh, Massive Entertainment. I was
Yeah,
close.
there we go.
That's a great studio. They make really competent online games of service type games. And if like the movie, I honestly didn't expect the second one to do well, but here we are. This is a thriving IP.
Yeah.
Avatar might get Ubisoft like out of the hole. They might.
Yeah.
They might do it.
Man.
First
First
I know
time
you mean,
Cameron
I don't
saved
even-
the movies, and then he saved Ubisoft.
seriously. I don't even think it has to be that good of a game. It could be a 7, but because it's Avatar, something about Avatar makes people lose their goddamn minds, and like everyone has to play or watch it. Like I don't understand the appeal behind Avatar personally, but like everyone loses their shit every time there's an Avatar movie, and like
I mean, that's the thing. I don't hear anyone talking about it or losing their shit over it, but obviously people are.
But people do.
People do
like,
love it.
Breaks,
we just don't know any of them.
Break records. It's insane.
It's like the mole people, the crab people who live underground. They all come out whenever a new Avatar movie comes out.
Yeah, come out of the woodwork. All I know is if they do go down, if Ubisoft goes down, and we don't get that feudal Japan Assassin's Creed first, I'm going to be the saddest person on earth. I want that game so bad.
I mean, the thing is like, oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
All I was going to say is I think of all the projects that Ubisoft has, like Assassin's Creed, I think it's probably pretty safe. It's like everything else that isn't Assassin's Creed that should worry.
Yeah. Just cancel it all. Get some tax write-offs. Become a normal company again. Like, yeah, I don't know how they're even staying afloat. If you look how many people are in the credits of these games, it's just insane. Like the budgeting for these games is insane.
How do you make money
I believe. Later this year, they're releasing a normal Assassin's Creed game, straight up, a linear, traditional Assassin's Creed, and I really hope it does well. Like, I bet it will. I want people to support a game like that, and I want it to do well. So it shows Ubisoft you don't have to make these massive, always online games or these extremely padded Assassin's Creed games. You can make just a normal video game and it do well. And speaking of that, guys. We gotta, like, I think fewer and fewer games are gonna come out and be normal games. Like, I think it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Sony has 10 games as service games in the works. 10! It, like
10 Babylon's Falls.
Exactly. So when I see a game like
9 Babylon's Fall and 1 Factions.
Yeah, right.
I see a game like Callisto Protocol just came out. It had a huge budget, like absolutely insane, if that's real, and it definitely did not meet sales expectations, and that's really unfortunate because like there goes one off the list. We're not getting a sequel to that. Like that's one game that's gone. If Ken Levine's next game doesn't do well, there goes another. Right. They're not going to make another one if it doesn't do well, and it's just really sad seeing these. And this comes to mind because Suicide Squad, the menu just got leaked. It's a games as service game with a battle pass that was originally. I mean, they always talked about a service element, but for some reason I just envisioned something else in my mind. Not straight up a battle pass for from the Arkham developers. Like what?
Battle Pass feels like a pejorative term these days, you know?
Right.
It's the Arkham studio. Like that you've created some of the best games ever. And you're making a Battle Pass game.
Yeah, the fact that Rocksteady is stooping to making a games of service, like I don't understand that one. It just shows you right there that it's all about money now. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it always has been. It's a business, right? But they are going to be more about appealing to the kids that want to play a game that updates every 2 weeks and you get new skins and it's the games of service as opposed to like a traditional linear or open world game where it just when it ends kind of thing, you know, like you said, the Callisto Protocols, that game I loved, but so many people didn't because it was too linear. I love linear. So
it was too short.
Yeah,
there wasn't enough
I feel
loot
like,
boxes. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like I'm part of a dying breed that still loves that kind of game, and it's unfortunate.
Well, maybe that's like the problem with a lot of these companies. It's like they don't understand what gamers want. Gamers don't know either. I mean, you know, a lot of you guys express interest in linear games, and then that's cool for, you know, maybe a certain demographic of gamer. But look at the amount of people investing money monthly and still in Fortnite, still in Rocket League, still in Warzone. And it's like I think they try to maybe spread themselves too wide and say like, oh, we want to cash in on this big games as a service, but then like you have to have substance in those games. That's what keeps them going. That's what brings players back. And I think Ubisoft is like lost sight of that and is just going for, you know, thinking with their wallet and going cash hunting, and like in the end have turned out nothing.
And I'm telling you, like Ubisoft, they know how to make actual good games. Like I played Splinter Cell Blacklist. It was by far the best Ubisoft game I've ever played. And I just don't understand. Like it sucks that like it seems like players like us are like a dying breed almost. But I mean, all the young kids that they like
old.
the games to service. And
Yep,
these games
How dare
take
you.
5 years to make. So they want to get a return on investment from 5 years production.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. It almost has to be a service game in order to make real money. And that's what
Yeah.
sucks. I don't know, like
It's-
it sucks that like these budgets have gone through the roof when it comes to AAA game development. Like I'm currently playing Tales of Arise, and a part of me is like this almost seems too good graphically to be a game that exists in this niche, like a Japanese game, a Japanese role playing game. And I'm just like I wonder if they actually made their money back with this. It almost seems impossible. The production value is insane in Tales of Arise, and I never heard anyone talk about it, so I don't even know how it's sold or anything like that. But it sucks that as a gamer, I'm like sitting over here stressed. Like, does this mean this is a failed IP? Like that they're never going to make another one because they went all out with this one and then no one cared.
Well,
don't know,
Apparently, it sold over 2 million copies, so it's probably fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But still, 2 million. Like I even wonder how that is in terms of like how much money they made. Compared to how
Well,
much they spent.
mean-
Because the game, like I'm saying, it seems expensive, but I don't know for sure.
Did any of you guys play Child of Light?
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I did.
Like, that was a
actually.
Ubisoft game, and that was fucking
until Immortals
fantastic.
Phoenix Rising came out. That was the only Ubisoft game I'd played in like a decade.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love Child of Light. I like.
great.
Where's more of that? Where's more of that
Where's more
stuff? It's-
Rayman?
Right.
Freaking Rayman Legends was
Rayman
amazing.
Is dead. Okay. He's
Yeah.
He
dead
is.
like the DLC for that dead game he's gonna be in.
He's
They
dead
just,
like Skull and Bones.
No,
They just really-
he is gonna be DLC for that Mario Rabbids game that apparently vastly
Oh,
underperformed.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
that's
so that was
sad is
actually the
that?
main.
Rayman's
That was the
coming
main
back
topic.
in the game nobody bought.
Yes.
So yeah, Ubisoft was massively disappointed in the sales for Just Dance and Mario plus Rabbids Sparks
Yeah.
of Hope.
Yeah.
That's scary if a Mario game underperformed for them, because
That
usually
is
anything
weird.
Mario has Mario attached to it knocks it out of the park financially.
Right.
So
and I
yeah.
mean, with
that to me is crazy.
the fact that a sequel was greenlit in the first place must mean that the first one did like at least modestly well, you know?
Right.
So,
right.
like, and apparently
Maybe
the
they're
sequel's
banking
like a
on the
lot
movie
better.
too.
Yeah, the sequel, like some people had that in their game of the year like list.
Right.
So it's
Right.
supposed to be a really good game.
I heard unanimously good things about that game.
Yeah.
And I didn't buy it either. But you know.
Yeah.
It's just not my type of game. But you know, if you're
Yeah.
all into that, then it's supposed to be fantastic.
Right. So.
I mean, I do like a risk like that. I mean, it's hardly it. I can really hardly call it a risk.
The
since it's
gamble
a
of a Mario
IP.
game in the year 2022.
I really miss whenever studios and the video game industry as a whole could take a risk and not die because of it. Like a company wouldn't go under if a game that they worked on failed. You know what I mean? Like
that's it.
back in the PS2 and PS3 generation, if you look at the games that got funded, it is insane. Those games are absolutely insane. There are so many weird, crazy, and often amazing games. That's why the PS3 generation and 360, that's my favorite gen by far. I feel like it was all about fresh ideas, weird worlds, fun, new, exciting ways to play that you couldn't do on older hardware. And then as we move forward, it got more about what everyone knows: microtransactions, loot boxes, grinding, all that stuff. And that sucks.
Yeah, I
that's
do
all
miss
I
how like
care about.
I miss how the biggest games used to take like 3 years to make them, maybe. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
now
Like,
you need like
Uncharted-
double that for the biggest games now.
Yeah, like Uncharted 1 to The Last of Us came out in the same amount of time from The Last of Us to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, that's wild.
Sweet.
Or Uncharted 2 and 3.
1, 2, 3, Uncharted 1, 2, 3, The Last of Us, and I think maybe even
All 3 Uncharted?
Uncharted 4 all came out in the span from Uncharted 4 to The Last of Us 2. I could be getting that wrong, but let's see.
Well, the point is,
No,
Either
I,
way,
it takes
I
a long
definitely got that
time.
wrong. Yeah, I just
For-
remember
for
reading
sure-
like a lot.
For sure,
I
like
don't know.
Uncharted 2 and 3 were only like 2 years
2 years
apart or something like
apart.
that. Which is
Yeah.
like now a game like an Uncharted 3 would take like 5 years, I feel like maybe not literally, but just, and it's funny because development cycles are supposed to be getting shorter with the new technology, and I don't know, maybe they eventually will, but we haven't seen that yet so far.
Yeah, so okay, this is what it was. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 all came out within 4 years of each other.
That's wild.
And then Uncharted 3 to Uncharted 4 was a 5-year jump. But The Last of Us wasn't there. So 2 games versus 3. It's not terrible there, but then from The Last of Us 2 all the way to, well, I don't know. Never mind. Games take way longer.
Yeah.
All right. A strong argument put forth by Brett Medlock.
Exactly.
But I know what you mean, though. You do have a point. So
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean-
like if you look at the game industry as like a whole, like this also makes me think about Nintendo and how conservative they are. And I mean, I've been watching a lot of gaming historian stuff and like looking at the risks that they took early on because they had the money to experiment with stuff that would fail. But looking at all these companies that are producing these big budget games that go out there and release on a whimper, and then you look at Nintendo's IP and they're still strong, they're still consistent, they still maintain their stock price. They very rarely, I feel like, delay games, even if it's like they have because it's warranted. But I in comparison to someone like Ubisoft, and Ubisoft's like trying to pull out every party trick they can to get a laugh, and like nothing's working. And so I think like in this case, it really just makes me think about how consistent Nintendo has been over the years, and especially leading up to more Fire Emblem games.
Yeah. Really, other than Tears of the Kingdom, I can't think of too many like Nintendo games that were like egregiously long in terms of like delays.
Yeah,
Like,
I
they're
mean,
they're
like,
pretty
a
on
lot
top
of
of
the-
it.
Yeah, like a lot of the time they just like won't even really announce a release date unless
Right.
they're ready.
Yeah.
So
Right. That's
like,
exactly it.
they
Yeah.
told us that Metroid Prime 4 exists. Then they told us it was basically starting over, so kind of
Yeah.
existed a second time.
That's true. Prime.
it.
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then you look at like Skull and Bones, though. Like,
Yeah.
would you rather get like constant updates that it's been delayed, or like hear about it every quarter?
with Nintendo, I feel like what their genius is at is spacing apart all of their heavy hitters. Like every single year, they're like, okay, we have like 4 or 5 pillars of games that we're getting out this year, and then we'll sprinkle some smaller games in between. But this is our main 4 that have to come out this year. But Mary hasn't really talked that much this episode, so Mary, share all of your thoughts on Ubisoft. Come on.
Dear Mary.
No thought, head empty. No, but like honestly though, what I keep getting hung up on is the canceled games. And like
Oh yeah,
it's
4.
gonna drive I don't like people leaking stuff usually, but I want someone to tell me what those
What those
canceled
were,
games
yeah.
were. Because I'm like,
It's probably
what
like
if
all the best ideas.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't know what they were. What if it was gonna be something that kind of like redeemed Ubisoft in a way of like, okay, this is like the next big franchise. What if it was something that is like completely new that we've never heard of, and it could have been great? And I'm just like, I'm like, I don't even know what it would be, but we'll never know now, and it sucks. And then they're cutting their spending costs by like what, 200 million? Like they're that's like, y'all are in some deep shit if you're cutting that much spending.
And on top
Yeah.
of that, apparently, as of today, it was announced that there's like a strike in Ubisoft staff in Paris over working conditions. So on top of all the shit they're dealing with, now there's that too. So it's like they're in some serious trouble right now.
Yeah.
Plus, they've already had like controversies in the past when it comes to like allegations and shit. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Work ethic and stuff. Or
yeah.
It's
Really,
just
they
that, like,
got
thanks
like a
to, like,
Bobby Kotick.
Activision, they kind of got a pass past a certain point. It's like, well, they're not Activision. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone
So-
just forgets.
like, yeah, like they probably
They're
haven't
not
done anything
Blizzard.
horrific lately. Like,
Yeah.
even though they probably have,
Oh yeah.
probably did something really bad we don't know about last week.
Probably behind closed doors, more
Yeah.
stuff. No,
Probably
Like,
just
not even
hired like
kidding,
a bunch of
it
people
probably
and then
really
fired.
happened last week. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They probably hired a bunch of new workers, and then they found out about the $200 million price cut thing, and then now they fired them all.
Now they're gonna start
Mhm.
harassing them on purpose strategically to get them to leave.
Yep. Yeah, but
Uh,
I just want to talk about this company.
It sucks for me, not to keep going on about it, but it sucks for me because me and you joke about it, Brett. You give me shit. Like, I am a big time Ubisoft apologist and defender because there are the 3 or 4 franchises that I love of theirs so much, but they just keep fucking up, and it's like it doesn't like it. I haven't heard anything positive from them, and I can't even remember the last time. So it's like it's getting harder and harder to like stand in their corner.
Yeah, like
the
they
new
used to be
Assassin's.
innovators.
Yeah, they did. What, Mary?
Like Ghost
I was
Recon.
gonna say, like, the new
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed game was like my kind of like falling off point for them. Like I couldn't get into it.
Valhalla.
Too padded.
Yeah, Valhalla. I
Terrible.
don't know. Like, I loved Origins, I loved Odyssey, but something about Valhalla, I don't know if it was just the performance issues I had with it or like the writing, but something just felt like super off. And I was like, why can I, like, I have no motivation to do the main quest. I think it's boring. I hate these characters. I look at this map and it's just ugly. It was just a gray
Oh, yeah.
map. And I was like,
So-
why?
So Valhalla is like one of my favorite games. Part of that I think is because I really love Norse and Viking stuff. So that immediately already like kind of drew me in. But I'm with you though. The beginning of Valhalla was boring as shit, and even I was
So
struggling to
boring.
like stick with it. But once you leave that opening section, like that opening, like your home, like country or whatever, I don't even remember where they start, like Scandinavia or something like that. Once you leave there and start like sailing the world and it opens up, it gets very good. But you have to stick with it to get to that, like to the good stuff. But then
I made it
gets
that
very
far.
good.
I made
40
that far,
hours
and I
in, it gets
still
really
just-
good.
I invested like 8 maybe into it.
Yeah, I put like 15 hours into that game, and I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too boring.
think I
There's
put,
too many
like,
other things
9 or
coming
10.
out.
I put
I
an
gave it a shot.
unhealthy amount of hours in Valhalla and Odyssey.
I
110 hours each.
I truly believe that you take that same game, cut out all the bullshit, and it would make it not only a better game, but even the people who love all the bullshit, they would have still enjoyed the game just as much. Like you don't need 100 hours of content. You do perfectly fine with 50. And then just that cuts the budget not in half probably, but by a large percentage. And then you can move on to the next thing. But no, they just have to make these ginormous worlds that are just ridiculous and not entertaining in any way. But we got to move on to the next topic. Fire Emblem Engage reviews are out. Last week we talked about the previews, which were positive, and now this week we know that the reception is generally pretty positive. It sits at an 82 on Metacritic, and Destructoid gave it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, the game looks really good, but unfortunately it cuts back on areas that I personally really liked about the series, even though I was only super into Three Houses, and then I played the others a little bit. The relationship stuff. Like, they cut out a lot. Like, that's a big disappointment. Like, one of my favorite parts of RPGs in general are the relationship stuff. So that's pretty sad. Mary, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm curious to see actually how much of that they cut out, considering how there was like a 20 to 30 minute video on Nintendo's YouTube that was just on like the base and like what you can do in your home base with your like companions.
Weird. It's weird they did that, and then the only review I watched, I think it was Nintendo Life, they talked a ton about how there's nothing to do at the home base. So I'm like, what? Like, which one is it?
Yeah, but that's something that like, it gets really hot and cold really fast, and it's been showing a lot lately because you see like the newer Fire Emblem fans who Three Houses was their first Fire Emblem game, or they started playing at like Awakening, which is considered newer Fire Emblem. And like they liked the relationship stuff, and that's what kind of kept them going, drew them in. Old school Fire Emblem fans hate it. They're like, no, get this dating out of my Fire Emblem game, sort of thing. And to me, I'm like, I don't care if they have it or if they don't have it. I've played a lot of Fire Emblem now, but this game seems to kind of trying to maybe merge the two sides of the fandom, and like, okay, Three Houses was very heavy with like the companion aspect, the support conversations, doing all the stuff like around the monastery to like, you know, talk to everybody. And then also now they're focusing on, I lost my train of thought. I was like,
Well,
where
I
are
have
they
something.
going with this?
I was trying to jump in. With Awakening, this might come as a shock to you, Mary, but I've never played Awakening, and that's apparently
Yes.
like one of the best ones.
Mhm.
I loved the idea of put two people on the battlefield next to each other, have them fight together, and then they actually build a relationship through like that. And I actually think that's really cool. I'm surprised they went away from that. That's not a thing in this one either. I was hoping they'd bring it back, because like not only would they like start dating and then eventually get married, they would sooner or later have kids that would end up becoming fighters, like warriors.
Do they
That's
ever make
awesome.
sexy time?
That's
think
only
they-
Do they
rated
ever make
T.
sexy time in the game?
They
No.
might hint at it. I mean,
Oh,
they
it's
have
teen.
kids.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, it's like
That's
it's like
unfortunate.
E10 T. Yeah, so
So
not
they
Mass
don't
Effect.
they don't go Witcher 3 then.
No, they might show like the outside of a house and then a heart ping pop up, something like that.
Yeah. But the old
But-
games had kind of that mechanic. It just wasn't like how it was in Awakening, where like people would get married and have kids, you know. But like in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, like you would put people near each other, you would build it up, and some people could only get up to a certain rank with certain characters. So you kind of have to be strategic. And
I
even
think that's
in Path of
Sorry.
Radiance, they limit the amount of conversations you can have during the entire game, and it killed me.
No, that's
Do
Yes.
conversations like directly level up characters in some capacity or something? Is it like that?
You can get more backstory on like certain characters, and you can, depending on like who you talk to, you could get more like a little bit of like insight and lore into like certain events, depending on like what you would find out.
so. It was only
So
story stuff.
All you
that
get from
helped.
it is lore then.
yeah.
Path of Radiance, I think Radiant Dawn gave you stat stuff.
Okay.
Path of Radiance,
okay.
it's been a year now since I've played it, so my memory's
Right.
kind of off.
Sure.
Still, I missed that on the battlefield relationship stuff, because that always sounded cool, and then it wasn't. Well, it wasn't in Three Houses, right? Or am I misremembering? If it was, I never used it in Three Houses.
What the
Like having people on the battlefield together, and then they get married and they have kids and all that stuff.
No, you would just get like this like at the end of the game, you would see like who like paired up with who at the very end. There wasn't any like marriages and kids in Three Houses.
They should bring that back. But then again, they were technically students, so I guess that wouldn't really make sense in Three Houses. But yeah, I am excited for this game. Got it pre-downloaded. It's ready to go.
I'm
Brett
interested
wouldn't
if
have
this
these
is going to
with
be I'm interested to see if this is like going to be a good jumping on point to Fire Emblem, or like a bad one, because we're coming off of, like you said, like me and Mary were talking about, Three Houses was like, Fire Emblem blew up because of Three Houses. I mean, it was
Awakening.
It was ever big in its
Awakening saved the franchise, the series.
And then Three Houses is the best selling. Yeah.
Mhm.
But to know that it's that much different, I almost feel like I'm screwing up by not playing those first.
No, Brett, honestly though, for you, this is a more combat focused one. This is less let's go on a romantic date out in the woods style game that I don't think you'd be into. That's something that I would be into, but not you. And apparently it's only about 45 hours, which is generally kind of short for a Fire Emblem game, at least depending on
I've been romancing all the chicks in The Witcher 3, Brett. You're underestimating.
Yeah, but you've only been doing that because you get to watch them have sex. That's all you. That's the only reason you've been doing that.
I'm trying to bang everything with 2 feet in The Witcher 3.
Yep. Including Dandelion. No,
main Dandelion. Not Dandelion. Not Dandelion. Leaving him. I'm leaving him.
Dude. Brett, I didn't want to point this out to you, but you might not have noticed. Dandelion's voice acting is absolutely terrible in The Witcher. You gotta just pay attention to it from now on, okay?
Yeah, I haven't noticed it, but I'm sure I will now.
That's the thing. I beat The Witcher 3, never noticed, and then I played The Witcher 2, and he's terrible in that. And then I was like, but he wasn't terrible in The Witcher 3. I remember him like being fine in that one. And then I went and watched cutscenes of The Witcher 3, and no, he was terrible in that game as well.
You're
He's
just
absolutely
mortified,
terrible.
like, dear God.
It's so bad. Like, no offense to the guy if you're listening, but terrible. All right, let's move on to. I mean, I guess is that it on Fire Emblem, Mary? Are we just going to talk about it next week when we're playing it?
Yeah. Like, I have many thoughts, but I think it's just kind of like rehashing stuff that's already been said. I did kind of say before the podcast, though, like one of my friends pointed out that this is kind of the Tears of the Kingdom of Fire Emblem, because Breath of the Wild was a big changing point for the Zelda series, but it brought in so many new Zelda players. And so it's like, okay, is Tears of the Kingdom going to reintroduce stuff that like longtime Zelda fans want, like dungeons, a more linear story? Yeah. So I'm very optimistic about Engage. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if they manage to kind of merge like the two sides of the fandom for like getting a really good balance of like a really solid strategy system, which it sounds like it has, but also keeping like the sim, the dating, the support, and the conversations as well.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're a JRPG or an RPG in general, if you're not going to go all in on the relationship stuff, just don't even do it. Like, I don't like how some of these games, like Tales of Arise I've been playing, like when you're sitting in a campfire, you can have like a bonus conversation with someone, and then at the end it'll be like, you grew closer to blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Like, this isn't really like a relationship system. This is just me having a random conversation and then nothing happening, nothing changing. And Fire Emblem Three Houses kind of did that a little bit, in my opinion. You could get an ending with the character that you romanced, but aside from that, there wasn't really anything particularly amazing about it. So I was just like, why is it even in the game? It was addicting, don't get me wrong, to like try and figure out what people like and like get like the 3 check marks or whatever on the dates and whatnot. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're not going to do it like Persona or anything as good as that, or at least half as good as that, then just don't even do it, because it's just not really. It just doesn't pay off, in my opinion.
One final question before we move on: have you picked a waifu? Have you watched any of the trailers?
I haven't even looked at enough to even know who to pick or who I would pick, but I'm gonna pick one day.
Soon.
Okay.
You're gonna have to pick in 2 days, actually.
Yeah.
If you play when it comes out.
I gotta play Tales of Arise like 8 hours tomorrow and 8 hours the next day to beat it before Fire Emblem.
Is that game pretty long?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Have you chosen one, Mary?
I think so. There's a certain character that I'm like, that's the one.
That's the
one. Got my heart.
Yeah.
Is it a guy or a girl?
The guy. I think his name's Diamond.
It's gonna be like, Diamond is only interested in male characters.
Oh my gosh. Well,
that would happen. That's what happened in Dragon Age for me, I believe. I think it was. Oh no, I think it was Cyberpunk.
I lucked out in Cyberpunk that like I decided to play as a woman, and the
you
woman I
lucky
wanted
yeah.
was the lesbian. So
who's the short haired girl in that? Oh my god, she's like the hottest video game female of all time, and I couldn't romance her because I was.
They knew that they were breaking hearts when they made her a lesbian. They knew.
I wanted to cry.
Yeah, they broke some hearts making that character. So yeah, we talked about Raiden, the voice actor for Raiden, hinting that there was a Metal Gear Solid showcase soon. Raiden, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it spelled the same as Raiden from Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Raiden.
They just choose what it sounds like.
Well, I think Mortal Kombat, like way back in the day, I think they were just sort of like, oh, that's a sweet sounding name, and they didn't know how you're actually supposed to pronounce it. In Japanese,
that
it's
sounds
Raiden.
about. That sounds
Well,
about
I've
right. Yeah.
I think I've seen the name Aiden and Aiden spelled the same as well, like A-I-D-E-A-N or something like that.
But
Probably one of those different pronunciation things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
give me.
we mentioned it earlier, and I honestly wouldn't doubt if this isn't like this might be real. Like they just did it with Silent Hill.
Eventually.
They dedicated a whole thing to Silent Hill.
I have been like like deep down, like hoping for another Metal Gear game. Like every showcase that they do, whether it's a Gamescom or E3, that's like my pie in the sky game. It's another Metal Gear game for so long, and it hasn't happened. I'm just like, I don't know. I've given up at this point. I know it's going to, and the rumor is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2, but
Oh no, it was 3. That was the major rumor.
I heard 1 as well.
I heard they were doing 3 first.
I thought you said 2 last.
John,
I thought you said 2.
No,
Say
so
something like
was it 3?
the report claimed that that developer Virtuos, which not spelled virtuous, they dropped the U, so Virtuos.
Oh,
They they're allegedly developing a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and I think VGC said it had heard rumblings of like remasters for the others.
Okay.
So that's kind of all we know, but I want to say
I kind of wish they would remake with the first one, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Well, I mean, fire up the GameCube, baby. There's your Metal Gear Solid 1 remake.
For sure. I've heard that's pretty rough to go back to. Yeah, I heard it's pretty rough to go back. I haven't played that game in so long.
Well, no, Snake Eater's not as hard to go back to as the original. That's a remake of the first one, Brett, if you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Wait, what?
Snake Eater, a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, right?
No. Are you
2?
kidding me?
No, Metal Gear Solid.
What are you talking about, Brett?
Isn't there a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1?
Yeah, on the GameCube. It's called the Twin Snakes.
Twin Snakes. That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
you acted so confused, like I couldn't confuse those two names. They both have snake in it.
No, but I mean, Metal Gear Solid 3 is like a completely different thing, though. That's a prequel to the original.
I got Twin Snakes mixed up with Snake Eater. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, but this is an important distinction here, because Metal Gear Solid 3 is set in I think the 60s, and you're playing as Big Boss, like
yeah, that's why
he becomes Big Boss.
That's why they might do that one first. That's why I heard.
Maybe
because in the
that's
timeline
true.
it's first.
Maybe timeline wise, that's why. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I mean, I'm kind of glad that if they're going to do anything with it, that they're just going to do stuff like this, which, I mean, obviously a remake is not low effort by any means, but it's lower effort than making a brand new game. And like Kojima's crazy brain combined with his crazy sense of humor made Metal Gear into something that's just completely inimitable.
Right.
Nobody else on the earth can make a Metal Gear Solid game like Hideo Kojima.
Right.
So I don't actually want to see them try to do a continuation of Metal Gear, because by default it's just not
true.
Be
Yeah,
good.
It wouldn't.
So,
unless he's involved, there's no way they can reach that same level of like absurdity that he could reach. So
yeah, and actually you raise a good point there. Like, I think in order to do like a true continuation of any kind of the brand of like something brand new but isn't like alternate universe nonsense like Survive, I think they basically need Kojima's blessing in some capacity. Like, call him like an executive producer who shows up every 6 months or something. Yeah, but like I just think that's the only way you could get people on board for that.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I am not a Metal Gear guy at all, if that wasn't clear.
It shows. I was
horrified. Listen, Mr. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, what is it? Snake Eater, Twin Snakes? What the fuck?
I was horrified.
You were. You were so offended.
No, not offended. I was literally afraid. Like,
I was afraid.
I was defending the credibility of the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh man. Hey, John, real quick before we move on, did you like Metal Gear Solid 5?
I'll try to give the short answer there. It's funny, when I first played it, I actually kind of hated it, and like I sort of swore it off. But then like I gave it another try, like probably like a week or two later, and like I ended up loving it. Yeah. Like it's just a completely different experience from the other four.
It's so different, and like that can be jarring because of how different it is from the other ones. But man, if you just give it a real shot, it's so damn good.
Yeah, like mechanically, it's probably the best game in the series, like
easily.
By far. Yeah,
very much so. Yeah,
like, brilliant gameplay. But
yeah.
So yeah. So I did love the Metal Gear Solid franchise. I never got very far in the original Metal Gear because I didn't have the patience for it. But I should try again someday.
Yeah,
that old NES
you mean before
NES.
Solid? Yeah. Yeah, I actually had never played any of them, so I've always said I'm going to go back and play those, and never have. So that's
I want to play. I really want to play the remake of the first one. and then play the second and then third. But I already started the third one and got pretty far on Vita.
I mean,
But
I
I've
could
never
just
beat
keep
any of
going
them.
there. Okay.
I've just never beat them. I can't get super into them. I don't know what it is.
Well, like Metal Gear Solid 3, a lot of people love that game. I played it once and never really touched it again, just because I don't like stamina or like having to eat to survive, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that always turns me off. And Metal Gear Solid 3 uniquely has an eating mechanic, and it's
Yeah.
not even a
Yeah.
big deal. I just hated that it existed at all.
Yeah.
But
It's just like
I started-
it feels like an unnecessary nuisance is kind
Right.
of how it felt.
Yeah. I started with 2, and it was the special version of 2 on the original Xbox, Substance. And like
Nice.
that's one of my
Mm.
favorite games ever. I love that game to death.
Metal
But,
Gear
like,
Solid 2 is awesome.
Yeah. But it's kind
Yeah,
of a
I-
weird place to start the franchise though, if you're
I-
not
Yeah,
kinda
for
familiar with
sure.
1.
I'm the old guy of the group, so I played the original Metal Gear Solid 1 on PS1 when it came out and just loved that game, and it was just so weird, such a bizarre bonkers game, but I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then it was like when Metal Gear Solid 2 was announced and like I'd read it in magazines and stuff, it was like when the internet first kind of started becoming a thing. And so I still have distinctive memories of going online and looking up just screenshots, because they didn't have there was like a video, but it would take like 10 minutes to buffer. So I was like, I would just sit and look at screenshots and just obsess over every single screenshot that I could find. And it was, it was really cool.
I remember that EGM magazine had like this big like layout of talking about what they saw of Metal Gear Solid 2 at E3 that year. And
Yeah.
like at that time, I don't think I'd even no, of course I hadn't played MGS1 yet because I really started with 2. But I just remember that ad, like just like I mean, not an ad, the article. Just reading the article, I was like, wow, this game sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That was the power of magazines like 20 plus
Man.
years ago.
So we all
Yeah,
had that
don't even get me
experience
started
where
on
we would go to like LimeWire or something and try to download a game trailer, and it would take like 6 hours.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
I
then
would
you
just,
just
like,
watch
queue a
it like
bunch up
100
overnight.
times.
Yeah, Greg.
Or do that,
I
Greg,
would-
yep.
Queue mine all up overnight and then wake up in the morning before school and be like, it finished downloading. Or I'd be
Or
pissed
a bunch
because,
would
like,
fail.
My mom used the phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Isn't it crazy that that's where things were, and now we're mad if a video doesn't start instantaneously? But we used to sit and wait. We used to wait an hour to watch a 1-minute video.
What?
Before.
Yeah.
Like,
Buffering
Yeah.
for
My-
10 seconds.
My
Exit.
parents left the internet on all night on dial-up trying to load the Phantom Menace trailer when it first came
oh,
out.
Man.
Oh man.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Memories.
Did you guys
Man.
used to like be up late at night on like gaming forums and like finally see other people who were like into stuff that you were, because you didn't know anyone in real life
Yep.
who
I-
like,
They-
cared
I-
about
the-
this?
Discovered like
GameFAQs
chat
one?
rooms and forums.
Mhm.
I spent years on the GameSpot forums.
Porn.
Yeah, same. I loved GameSpot specifically when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like when
I
I was
remember-
like 10.
When the first trailer for Metal Gear Solid 3 dropped, it like leaked. It was this really weird situation which just appeared online. And I remember like talking for hours about that leak on the GameSpot forum the night that happened. That was magic and history in the making.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't you wish you could go back and read those?
Not really.
That'd be
I was gonna
funny.
say, probably not. Mhm.
It would be
I
kind of
remember
cool
that I
though, just to
rambled
see.
a lot.
Yeah,
I would-
just
I would-
to
I would like to
like
see.
it would be cool.
Actually,
All right, guys.
last I looked, GameSpot forums posts are all still there. I think my
They probably
10,000
are.
posts are still there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But now it's just
I
people
was-
fighting.
Yeah, now it's just
Being-
about
being-
this is
everyone's just all-
woke. This is racist. This is
yeah,
blah blah
everyone's all-
blah.
Yep, everyone's toxic now, so it's not as fun.
You're not a real gamer. Real gamers only
Yeah.
play it this way.
You play. You're an
Oh.
X-bot. I see your likes.
I just
Yeah.
found my old profile.
Sony
I have
Pony.
10,386 posts.
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
shit, man!
Yeah.
That's
Wait, what was your
impressive.
name on there?
Albedo
more of-
Snake.
Wait, what is it?
Albedo Snake. It combined a
Albedo Snake,
Xenosaga
okay.
character with Metal Gear. Not
Ah,
Xenoblade, Xenosaga.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Xenosaga. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I'm gonna try and find you. Send
That
me a
was
link.
very
I'm actually
cool.
curious to read those.
Alright, whatever. There. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to check him out too.
But what if we find out John was just like a huge bully?
Hardcore racist.
10,000 just 10,000 bully posts on there.
Yeah,
He's
All
like,
right.
I can't believe
Bullying
there's
He
a
was the
black
guy.
character in this.
Sony pony.
He was
Okay,
ahead of the
so-
times, saying things.
Briefly, GameSpot had this feature where you could kind of do, like your own blog, and it let you name the blog. And originally, I named it I wanted to name it an old Simpsons joke, but it wouldn't let me because the name I tried to do was Nazi Supermen are our superiors. That was the Simpsons
Wow.
joke. It
Oh
wouldn't
my
let me
God.
do it.
Oh man.
So-
For good reason.
Yeah. And I imagine anyone that wants to put Nazi in a username or something is probably going to get shut down quick.
I did it for the Simpsons. But
There you go.
yeah, anyway, we've gotten wildly off topic.
No,
I mean, there have
love
been a
it, though.
handful of times where like I would be referencing something like Family Guy or South Park, and no one else would understand the joke, and then I just look like a total asshle.
You
But
look
I'm like,
just a
I
piece
thought
of
everyone
shit, yeah.
knew about this joke. It's like, no, they didn't.
Yup.
Like, I promise I'm not a piece of shit.
Yeah, All right, guys. Platinum Games makes it easier to access the playable teaser of Bayonetta Origins in Bayonetta 3. I'm actually tempted to try this out and see what it's like.
Yeah.
To see
When-
if this
hey,
game's
when does that
at all
game-
worth buying.
when does it come out? Isn't it like in March?
Something like that. Let me
So
see.
pretty
I think I'll
soon.
end up just buying it anyways.
You're
Yeah,
gonna buy it, Greg?
I just completely
Yeah.
spaced out. Which game?
Bayonetta
The
Origins.
Bayonetta
Oh, okay.
Origins.
March
Wow,
17th.
Can't be worse.
Boy.
Can't be worse than Jankinetta 3, right, Greg?
Hey, Bayonetta 3
Hey,
was
it
good.
ended up being okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just-
Yeah, all right.
I'm
I
the one that
finished it
just
with a
gave up
smile.
Completely. All right.
I'm glad
just
you liked
always-
the
I
ending
just-
because I thought it was
Bayonetta
just
awesome.
7
always-
out of 10.
Yeah.
What's
I
that?
just always laughed that he called it Jankinetta. That just always made me laugh.
The
That is
worst-
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I think I ended up like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I don't remember.
Oh.
The
I
worst
didn't think
part
you
about
gave it
Bayonetta 3 was that it wasn't as good as Bayonetta 2, which was an
Yeah.
absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the game's the demo for that game's easier to play now. It was always in the game, which is funny. But now you can actually play it easier. I haven't even read up how. I'm assuming it's like on the menu or something.
And I think they did a patch recently. They buffed Viola and
Oh,
I
good.
think some of the
It
other
sounded kind of
yeah.
substantial. Like apparently they made like a bunch of tweaks that made somebody happy.
Chapter select
Yeah, why-
screen. You can choose it just so you guys know.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Why so long? Why would they wait until now though? That's so weird.
Yeah, that's so
Well-
weird that it was like hidden the way it was in it. I guess. Well,
Well, I mean,
they
it
were
made
trying
sense
to- if
hide
they were
it
trying to
before it was
save it-
announced.
Yeah.
No,
if that's
I meant the
if
patch,
that's
but-
true
Right.
though, then why would they even have it in there?
So many
'Cause we're
people
di-
probably played it and were like,
yeah, there were people that played it and they're like, huh?
they didn't
I
know
wonder
it was
what
going to be a
this
full
is.
game.
Yeah.
I'm sure at the end it says to be continued or something.
I'm just surprised no one that I knew of had any idea that existed. You know, like I'm kind
Yeah.
of surprised. Like it was such a surprise when it came out because there were people that played it, and I never saw anything about it.
This
It's
game
weird
to
because I
me-
think it's both like go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say it's weird because it's like both unique that like we don't see Easter eggs like that very often where it's like
Yeah,
a demo of your next game, but also it's a demo of your next game. Like that should be a bigger deal than just an Easter egg that no one's ever heard of.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
This game to me feels like we need something quick and easy to put out so we can make some easy money. Kind of like how Travis Strikes Again. Is that what that was called? No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again.
Mhm.
I think
That
so.
game was so sloppily put together that it was just like, we need money
Awful.
to fund No More Heroes 3. And then No More Heroes 3 was like, we got to put this sloppily together so we can have money to exist. Because they're not going to last very long. I don't understand how that game looks so ugly. But No More Heroes 2 looks much, much better than No More Heroes 3. And it's a Wii game. But anyway, yeah, the teaser's playable now from the chapter select. And lastly, on the news docket, Simon Pegg has been announced to be playing Phineas Nigellus Black in Hogwarts Legacy. And I don't know if you guys watch like the little like interview and whatnot, but he seemed pretty offended that he was never in the Harry Potter movie. So this is like revenge for him, finally a part of the Harry Potter universe. So
There you
I
go.
thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to highlight that because he's a really good actor, I think, and I like watch the scenes, and it doesn't even really sound like him. Like it kind of just sounds like a brand new voice from him, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also at like the head, like he's the Dumbledore of the school, which is cool. Like he's like the
Yeah,
main head
Except
leader.
he's like apparently like a hated jerk who hates everybody else too.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like apparently he's someone who like has this job but doesn't even want it. Like, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Curious to see how that plays out. And another cool Easter egg is he's in the background like of the movies. Like his picture is like this character's picture, like when he's older.
No, what?
So that's kind of cool. I don't know if they modeled the game character after him, but they have mentioned him in the movies, and like he's like one of the pictures that moves in the background. So that's kind of cool.
I'm interested to see if that game just completely bombs or if it's
it's already like the highest selling game on PSN and Steam.
It's gonna make a lot of money.
sorry. I don't mean financially. I mean like if like
critically,
like quality,
critically.
Like
okay.
if it's like this awesome game, or if they were like had way too much ambition and just didn't. You know what I mean? Like they didn't.
Is this Avalanche? Is that who's making this?
I mean, from the gameplay previews, I've watched some like smaller portions of the gameplay, and like I think it. I mean, even at this point, it looks pretty damn polished. Like there's
I think it looks
minute details about I know nothing about Harry Potter, by the way, but like
me either.
My wife.
This could be like my jumping in point.
But we watched like a brief portion of it, and like I'm just like seeing all these like little animations, the pictures moving, doors opening, latches unfolding, and it's like there's so much shit going on that I feel like that's just representative of what's to come.
It really is a magical universe. Like it's so there's something so that makes you feel like a kid when you rewatch the movies. At least for me. It's just such a unique world, and I just recently rewatched them all, and I kept thinking, man, this is like an RPG universe. Like there's so much lore to it, and I really hope the game explores that. And I love that it's a prequel set like hundreds of years before the movies. Like, so potentially getting to like darker, more like background stuff that like the dark side of Hogwarts, which is there's plenty in the movies already. But I'm excited. Like I'm actually excited for this.
I just feel like there's so many people talking about this game and so much hype behind it. I just wonder if they're going to stick the landing or not, because it's like,
I mean,
this could either be the biggest game of the year or like the biggest letdown of the year. One of the two.
Their last game was Pixar's Cars 3: Driven to Win, and I'll be honest,
John's game of the year in.
That's a great game.
Super memorable.
It's on
no, but for real, those racing games, Cars 2 and 3, are actually really good. I just can't believe that this is the same studio, because that was literally their last game, and that was 6 years ago. So they've been working on Hogwarts Legacy.
Did your kids play a lot of that?
Yeah, they still play it. They could be upstairs playing it right now.
If they're not playing Runbow.
Yeah,
I always see your kids playing Runbow. I go in and it's like, Brett Medlock is playing Runbow. I'm like, no, he's not.
Yeah. So this is definitely their most ambitious game ever. The instant broom flying looks awesome. The world looks like the detail and the environments looks really good. Can't believe this game is also coming to Switch. Very curious to see how it runs on that natively. But yeah, Mary, any thoughts? Are you excited for this? Are you going to get this at all?
I'm going to pass on it. Like I've been there, done that with my Harry Potter phase. I haven't watched a movie in years. Like I grew up reading the books, like, so I did love Harry Potter at like a certain point in my life, and like I had the games, I went to midnight releases for like the movies, but like it hasn't been something that like I've had interest in for like a very long time now. So for me, I'm like, it's just too late. If it had come out when I was in college, like I would be talking about this game nonstop.
I feel like I was literally just like you, except I recently rewatched the movies, and now I'm like reinvigorated. Like I'm like, man, I can't wait for this game now.
I just feel like I completely missed the boat on Harry Potter. Period. Like when it was huge and like during that period of time, like that, which was a while. I mean, it was like 10 years when it was just massive.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I don't know why. It just, I had zero interest in it. I feel like I totally missed the boat on it. My mom, before she died, was the biggest Harry Potter fan, though. So I almost kind of, when I saw this, I almost kind of was like, all right, I'm getting for her. I'm gonna try and get into this game. Also, due to the fact that it looks really good too. But yeah. I just missed the boat on Harry Potter completely.
You were probably
I felt like
you were like what 35 when the first movie came out.
46.
46.
It's fucking 6. Yeah.
God, how old was that when the first movie came out?
No, but really, like when they
10.
were, but I was like, I was in my partying phase. I was like in the college years when I was more worried about like partying and going out and hanging out with friends, and this was like a movie about kids. So it was like I totally missed the boat on it. So
yeah, but
2001
and the first two movies. Yeah, so I was 9 when the first movie came out. But the first two movies, they like legitimately are kids movies, but they're still good. But after that, they honestly become like these dark, like everything changes. Like they have like dark, like HBO filters over them. It's like they just suddenly got really serious out of nowhere. And it actually gets pretty deep and pretty dark. So I recommend
and then
watching
all of a sudden Emma Watson got hot and everyone's like, okay, whoa, not for kids anymore.
I mean, no, because that was like still the third movie and she was still a child.
Isn't there like 8 movies?
7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 7
was
was
the last
2.
one, so it became
there's 8.
Yeah.
Oh, 8, yeah. Okay.
Jesus, man,
7
that's
books.
crazy.
And
I told Brett last month, I was like, I want to try and like understand the hype behind this before the game. And I'm like, so I'm going to try and watch the movies. I thought there was only like 3, and he's like, yeah, there's 8. And I'm like, yeah. Never mind. I'll just play the game.
And dude, they're like a lot, like some of them are like 3 hours and some change. Like they're long movies.
Jeez.
It's a dedication for sure. But I mainly wanted to rewatch them because we went to Universal last year, and I wanted to watch them before we went to Hogwarts. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's Hogwarts Legacy coming up. When's that come out? February? So soon. Next month.
February.
Wow. Now, guys, we got some Nintendo news I wanted to get into. The Last of Us pulls in 4.7 million viewers on its opening night, the second best debut in HBO history. I'm just kidding. Since 2010, the only thing beating it was House of the Dragon, which makes sense. But not only just The Last of Us, but in general, I wanted to talk about where video games are in terms of these adaptations when it comes to film and television, because we see things like this doing something really good, being like really like dedicated to the source material, and then we see something like Halo, which is totally tried something totally different and messed up pretty much in terms of. I mean, I think viewer base was okay. They got a second season, but the fan base did not like it at all. Like the Halo fan base, which is probably the fan base he wanted to appease. And then we got something like the Mario movie upcoming, which seems like it's going to be massive. It looks like it's hitting all the right notes or whatever. And yeah, so first off, who has watched The Last of Us? Anyone here?
I think
I have. Mary has. Greg
all of
has.
us did.
John, we all watched it. Oh my god, I can't believe it.
Dude, I was like
first for the
ready
show
to
that
go
we've
with my
all
TV.
watched. Yeah.
I watched it on regular HBO, and then my best friend, he started a few minutes later on HBO Max, but I forgot that was an option, so I was like trying to fill him in on what he missed, and he was like, "Shut up!"
He's like, "Let me just fucking watch it."
Yeah, that's pretty much literally what he said. Yeah, so
yeah, it was a really good first episode. Like
it was very good. I thought they struck.
Sorry.
I thought they struck a perfect balance of staying true to the source material on things that were vital to the story and venturing off a little bit in areas where it actually added to the impact of the story. For example, like the Sarah stuff.
Well, yeah, but let's not be spoilery. Just
I'm not, but no, for sure. But like you see more of her, where in the game you don't really see much of her at all. Like you get to see her as a person that day, and like little things like that just it made that moment, like the moment, you know what I'm talking about, feel that much more heart-wrenching, because you just got to like spend time with her and like see who she was and how sweet she was. And
I'm really happy they did that part of like the first episode, like pretty much, except for like those couple like added little things that I think, like Brett was saying, like just made you like feel more attached like to the characters as a whole. Like it was like beat for beat, like with that moment and like in the game. And I was like, I'm so happy they did not tamper with this moment at all.
One thing I love was with the now I'm forgetting her name. I've been talking about it all day, or like for 2 days now. But the actress that plays the same character in the game, like she's the only one who's in Marlene. The background stuff with her, I really love, because it was almost like seeing her character in the game, what she was doing during this time, because we never saw that. We never saw the conversations with her people, like with the Firefly people, and her saying like, we got to do this. If we don't do this, we're just graffiti. It's like we're nothing. And I really love that.
It gave context to her character that we didn't know in the game. Like she just kind of appeared out of nowhere in the game. And in the show, it's like, okay, it's like building up and showing us who she is. So then when she meets Joel, or not meets him, but they have that interaction, it's like, okay, that makes more sense now, because now we saw who she was and everything that she stood for and what they were doing leading up to that.
I think it speaks to like also kind of a bigger piece of it, is that like most of the time when they make like a video game adaptation for cinema or TV or whatever, they cut out stuff to make it fit, you know, television or the movies. Whereas like this expanded on it and like gave us so much more. And like Mary said, like, you know, it was like beat for beat in some parts, but I played the remake and I haven't played it in years. And I was still like recalling, I was like, oh shit, this is this section where this happens. And I was like, oh, I remember this part in the game. This is like right here. And like, I knew what was coming, but like it didn't feel like I was doing another playthrough or something like that. You know, it felt like I was like experiencing something new, because it was being told in a different way that wasn't, you know, I could actually sit back and relax and you know, let my eyes wander around the screen without, you know, worrying about somebody attacking me or whatever. So I think it was, you know, really good entry, like to get us started. And like, I don't know, it just set expectations pretty high for me, I think.
And supposedly it just it doesn't like get worse from here. Like it stays the course through the whole season, which I'm excited about.
My film critic at The Escapist says the first 2 episodes are heavy on exposition, but then like episode 3 is like a little mini masterpiece, and it just kind of keeps it up after that.
I'm freaking excited.
See, I almost felt like that was a masterpiece. Like hearing that makes me so excited.
That's
like how's it get better,
Brett?
If that episode didn't end on like a pretty major cliffhanger, it almost would have just felt like a contained
just like a small movie.
Like just a film. Like that's just like the Last of Us 1. Like that could have been like in theaters, and then like the next one would have come out like years later or something. But no, it's a TV show, and we're getting the next episode next week. So it's really exciting. Didn't think I would like it as much as I do, and I find myself just thinking about it a lot now. Like it's something I'm really happy exists. Even though it's totally unnecessary, I still think these stories should be able to stand alone as games, and we shouldn't need like the best ones to be made into TV shows and movies. But hell, if they're gonna do it, at least they're doing it right.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, I'm like also excited to like, my dad loves stuff like The Last of Us, so I'm like excited for him to now be able to watch this too, because I'm like, Dad, there's a show I want you to watch. It's based on a video game.
You said The Last of Us just now.
I'm sorry. He's a big Walking Dead fan, so he's into like the you know, the pandemic zombie stuff. So
he loves
I know
pandemic.
he would be into.
He loves big fans.
My dad's a big pandemic guy.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the world ending.
He goes to funerals of people he doesn't even know.
That's true.
He's a very bleak individual. No, but I just thought the last thing I'll say about it, in that episode, I thought that there was one part, the opening, they needed to absolutely nail which is the stuff with him and his daughter. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm not going to say anything more, but I thought they had to absolutely nail that, because in the game, that sets the tone for the rest of the series because of what happens. It just shows you right there, like right out of the gates, how grim and how brutal this story is going to be. And it like sets the tone for the rest. So with the same thing with the show, I felt like they had to nail that, and they did. And it totally like set the tone, letting you know that this shit is, you know, what you're in for, basically. So
Yeah.
I loved how well they did with that particular part.
Yeah, I liked that part a lot more, actually. Like I could have like done a whole season maybe of just the show like that, but then it would probably just turn into The Walking Dead, which wouldn't be that interesting. But
Yeah.
I did really enjoy that segment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with all that said, I still think some of the editing was off, some of it not as impactful as the game. Some of the acting is hit or miss, especially from the actress playing Ellie. That was not fully into her emotional acting. I thought that her sarcasm and her wittiness was good.
I thought
But-
she did a good job.
I
Yeah,
thought
I
she was
actually liked her.
amazing.
But come the
the
moment where she gets scanned and she's explaining, I've had this for 3 weeks. It's like, ooh, that was not good. That could, like, listening to her conversation with Marlene,
She
ooh,
should
that
have
was
had it
not
for 4
good.
weeks.
But everything else, I'm not saying
So-
she's terrible. I'm not saying she can't redeem herself. I'm just saying if I had to pick one bad acting in this, it would be her out of everyone else.
Eric,
Let it be
this
known
is
that
the part.
Brett just hates this little girl.
Yeah.
He's
Brett
like,
Medlock hates Bella Ramsey.
I was
He
gonna
just
say,
hates
like, out of
children,
all of
period.
like the kid actors in shows that I've seen as of late,
I mean, she's
probably the
20.
best.
She's not really a kid. She's
She's
older.
playing a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's different than the
she's
little
a kid
boy
in like
at the
everything she
beginning.
plays. I just
She's just a
felt
good
like
actor, then.
I know I said I'd said the last part, but this is the last thing I was gonna. I just felt like they had the perfect actress lined up for Ellie.
Yep.
And I don't know, Eric, if you still have that picture.
It's on
but
screen
there's a
right
side
now.
by side. It's on there right now. There's a side by side of Caitlin Dever, Caitlin Dever
Denver.
next to Denver. I thought it was
Colorado.
Or is it
Anyways,
Dever? don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Caitlin Dever next to Ellie, and like you can just see the striking resemblance. Like they could scour the world and not find a more perfect Ellie than her. And they actually sat down and did a table read with her, and they
don't know how
still
she
went
didn't
with
get
Bella
it.
Ramsey. Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't. I'll never understand that, but
She seemed perfect, and Neil literally directed her already in Uncharted 4, where she played a character in that game. So the connection was already there, and they met with
Right.
her, but it didn't work out somehow, because
Yeah.
that's who I had in mind years ago, like literally
Yep.
years ago, and I just can't believe that it didn't work out. But I'm not saying Bella Ramsey's terrible. I'm just saying, having just played
this
the remake,
is why you hate her. This is why
Ashley
you hate her.
Johnson is on
Uh-huh.
another level with her acting as Ellie. It is so good
You
compared to
wanted
Bella
her to
Ramsey.
play Ellie then?
I mean, she couldn't, but that'd be cool
That would be hilarious, though.
if she
The-
just played
the-
Ellie like as a
Yeah.
35-year-old woman.
the fact that a voice actress was able to pull off like the emotional highs that she did shows you how
So
talented
good.
she is, though. So
I mean, a Japanese lady in like her 70s or 80s is still doing Goku, so there you
Mhm.
go.
And it sounds absolutely terrible. I don't care what the diehards think. That is
Oh
the
my
worst
God.
voice
You've been
ever.
hitting the
for-
sauce.
I can't even believe people
Are you
watch
drunk? Are you
Dragon
drunk?
Ball dubbed.
God.
Listening to Goku is like having freaking someone. I don't even
she's
know.
86 years
Yeah.
old. Holy
Yeah.
shit. She's
Dude, you gotta hear
Retire.
Goku's voice. Brett, you won't even believe what Goku's voice sounds like in the Japanese.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna look this up after
delightful.
now.
And she's
It
not
is-
just Goku, she's Gohan and Goten, and she does them all differently.
Well, here's the thing. I do love the
Uh.
fact that she's been playing Goku since Dragon Ball. It made
Yeah.
sense in that one. He was a
Yeah.
kid. Now he's a grown man who sounds like an 87-year-old woman. So it doesn't make sense. They should have recasted like they did in the show. I mean, not in the show, in the US version. Could you imagine
Shit, if they ever they do another live action, put her in.
yeah. Just have her play Goku.
That would
Uh,
rule.
yeah,
All right,
that's funny.
put her as Goku in a movie with Ashley Johnson or whatever her name is as Ellie. Make that happen.
Yeah. But yeah, the show's really good. But I didn't like some of the editing on some of the more emotional beats, like that scanning spot I'm talking about. That spot is so good in the game. I'm like, why did you change it? It was perfect in the game. Just copy that. But it's almost like they sped it up for no reason. Like he punches a dude and then he sort of blacks out for a second, and then you hear them having this conversation to the side. That's really good and really important in the game, but in the TV show, it's just like this passing moment that like doesn't even matter. So I was kind of annoyed at that, but for the most part, this was like an amazing episode. This coming from someone like The Last of Us is one of my favorite things ever.
I could see why they maybe for TV, why they maybe just kind of like glossed over it a little bit. Like I think it gives more surprises down the road. I think it gives more surprises down the road for people that haven't played the game that are just watching the show.
I think every episode of the show should end with Joel beating someone to death.
Yeah,
with him having a flashback
Who's
and
he
then
beating
just
to death
losing.
this week?
Gosh.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at least 2 more times.
I hope it does.
We got to say this real quick too before we end. Tommy, his voice, so Tommy doesn't look anything like Tommy in the games, but his voice,
it's
if you
1 to 1.
closed your eyes, you would never. There's no way you could tell which one is the real one. That's unbelievable how good he did with his voice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
What's his name? Gabriel Luna. That's his name.
Yeah.
Gabriel Luna.
He was a Ghost Rider, and hopefully he comes back as Ghost Rider in the MCU.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. he was.
Yep.
Okay.
And they bring back all the other TV actors who are with Marvel TV, so they should bring him back as well.
Why not?
But yeah, The Last of Us was really good. I wanted to go over a little bit more about like how Nintendo's like leaning into this stuff. Is this an example that like future studios should follow? Like get the people who are actually involved with making the game. Like Neil Druckmann is directing the next episode, not just producing, not just helping out with some story ideas. He's legitimately directing it. Like imagine if Netflix, whenever they're making their BioShock movie or TV show, whatever it's going to be, imagine if they actually paid Ken Levine to come help direct, oversee this project, make it actually like good. But they won't. They're just going to do the exact same thing that they did with Resident Evil, make it literally nothing like the games, nothing, random characters that they gave names to that have nothing to do with the originals, and I don't know how they're even those characters, or just create brand new characters that don't even matter. Anyway, Resident Evil sucked. This, I hope that this
all that to say Resident Evil sucks.
I hope that this is just an example that these companies can look at and be like, look what happens, guys. Look what happens when you do what you should be doing. But
I think part of it is like having the ability to create something of that high of quality too. Like, not that it only has to be HBO that can pull it off, but when I heard HBO was the ones involved in The Last of Us, I immediately trusted that it was going to be very good and very high quality.
But here's the thing, like, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I don't even think that this necessarily should have been a Joel and Ellie story. But I think even if it, like, no matter what, it should have had some of the original creators and writers or
involved,
anyone to oversee the project. But it seems like a lot of this stuff that comes out doesn't have anyone that's involved from the original. Like they hire a production studio to do it, like Netflix or Paramount or whatever, and then they make it, and then it's terrible and nobody likes it. And they're like, why did nobody like it? It's so obviously made by a random person and not by the people who created the IP or the game or whatever it's based on.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that earlier. I was watching another gaming historian video. This one was about the Mario movie and
the new Kid and Krista.
Basically how like Nintendo licensed it out for $2 million and said, hey, you guys have creative freedom of whatever you want to do, and we'll make, suggestions here and there, but for the most part, do your thing. And then they went through producer after producer and writer after writer, and people hated the writers on set, and John Leguizamo was drunk the whole time because they hated the environment so much because the script would change almost daily, which is like, I was thinking about that while I was thinking about the new Mario movie and how much Nintendo has like it's very like it's such a huge contrast. Yeah, it's like it's how they're they realize that this is our most precious thing and that's our IP, and we have to do it in such a way that pleases audiences from kids to adult, and they're very closely monitoring all the representations of, like they talked about before, how they have these manuals of how you're supposed to represent Mario or any of these characters. And so I was thinking about that, and thinking about The Last of Us, and thinking about Sonic, and just like how like those should be, like Brett mentioned, Resident Evil was so bad. I can't believe I put myself through the series just to, yeah, there was like some stuff that was kind of cool, like the ending of it, and potential whatever that is in the future, but it's canceled now, so who cares? But like, those three films I think did excellent jobs of representing the source material, and I think it's because the studios that created them or the publishers were so involved with the process.
I just feel like when you have people involved who are in this world, in this realm, things can be good. Just like that show on Apple TV Plus. John, what's it called? Where Ubisoft like oversees it and makes sure all the terminology is correct.
Quest.
Yeah, Mythic Quest. Like it's good because
that's John's jam.
People know that world, so they're
I like
involved.
the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I need to watch the latest one still. But yeah, I don't know. I just think this is just an example, and I'm not saying this is the first good video game show. We've had Castlevania, we've had Arcane, we've had the Sonic movies.
I feel like the lights at the end of the tunnel, though, for video game adaptations. Like we're finally starting to see, like even the Uncharted movie wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was decent.
The Sonic movies are good. The Last of Us was great. The Mario, you can tell that just seems like you can feel the passion that was put into that just in the trailer. So I feel like we're finally getting to the point where we may be past all those years of just absolute trash video game adaptations.
I saw an article too about. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, it was just like an article about how DreamWorks and Pixar have been like on pace for animated movies at the box office. And, most times they release and, they're in the like, I think 80 million, 90 million range. I just think this Mario movie is going to do absolutely insane numbers. Is it going to be?
It is too.
Is it going to be Avatar? No.
Yeah.
Gonna do 5
Who knows?
of Avatar.
Let's say it. I think it's going to do better.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the big marketing push because I haven't really felt it.
Yeah. Well, I keep forgetting. When's it come out?
April.
Yeah.
Like
So,
April
I mean,
6th.
Was it 7th, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, right now it's mostly, well, they like pepper in the trailers at the theater, and there's the McDonald's toys because the movie was originally supposed to be out now. But so
that's right.
There's time to ramp things up.
Yeah. That movie's gonna be like a celebration of everything that's gaming, I think.
I'm gonna go in full costume.
You should.
Do it.
I probably will. Like, I'm not even lying.
Cool. Yeah.
I hope that
Princess Peach.
I bet that Charles Martinet has like a talking moment before the movie starts, like a thank you for seeing this movie, blah blah blah, or something like that, like just to give him a little like more spotlight, because he's like background characters and shit in the game.
Yeah.
At least
What
I
if
hope
it was
so,
just
but they probably won't. It's just gonna
go and then a pipe, and I'd be fucking
chills, literal chills.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we can move on to what we're playing now. Does anyone have to duck out? We're going a little long. Is everyone good?
I mean, compared to when we start late on the other weeks, this is just kind of the usual time. I mean,
yeah, you're right. All right, Mary, you are almost at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yep, and I'm dragging it
journey?
out. Well, okay, I'm at the end. I think it feels like I'm at the end. I think I'm on chapter 17. Anyway, it feels very, very endgamey. But I was presented with this optional endgame gear, and I was like, oh, I could do this. No big deal. I'll get a little bit of extra gear before I go possibly beat this thing. It turned into a longer journey than expected. All of a sudden, I'm having to grind to level 85 to do this.
Yeah.
But right before the podcast started, I got the final thing I needed and I'm about to go turn it in. So
Nice.
but I'll be like, I love the game. I'll be happy when it's done though, because it was the last thing I needed to do before Fire Emblem comes out. So I'm just like, okay, I won't be mid playthrough of anything. I'll be able to focus completely on Fire Emblem, and I'm excited.
Nice. I'm glad you're playing it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And are you gonna continue the series like sooner or later?
Oh, definitely. As far as like long games, I'm gonna do Fire Emblem, Persona 4, because you keep hyping it up and saying how it's so good. So I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm gonna play it on Xbox now that it will be on Xbox Game Pass tomorrow.
Yeah.
No,
Is
not
it
tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Thursday. It's the day before
okay.
Fire Emblem.
That's plenty of
And-
time to play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 24 hours.
Just go to
Go.
a hyperbolic chamber and play there.
Gosh.
Is that what it's called from Dragon Ball? I can't remember.
Hyperbaric chamber.
Like, I remember the Japanese name better, but yeah, I think you're right. Something like that.
Yeah, but I think those are the only two like long games, and then I'll probably try and maybe squeeze in Xenoblade 2 before Tears of the Kingdom, and that's in May. I'm trying to plan my games because Tears of the Kingdom, once that's here, that's all I'm going to talk about for a very long time.
It's all we're all going to talk about.
Yeah. And we're gonna make so many TikToks about that game.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
assuming.
Yes.
I'm kind of scared that you're not gonna like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because the combat's worse. And the game's longer.
I didn't like that game.
But people said the combat for 1 was really wonky and weird, and I don't think it's that bad.
I think it's fine. It's just not very fun. I think that's the problem.
It feels
And then 3 puts
MMO-y.
them together.
Yeah, 3's
Okay.
better than 1 combat. It's just, but it's still not like, I don't think it's amazing, but it's better.
No.
But 2, I feel like it's definitely the worst when it comes to the combat.
You have to like wait for all the abilities to charge up, and it's just boring.
Yeah.
Like you don't even like start the fight with powers ready to use. Like,
yeah, it's really weird. I did not like that combat, but I liked everything else. So I just there's like 30 to 50 hours of combat that I didn't like, but I liked the other 30 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I put 90 hours in that game, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it. I think the story is good, and Rex, the voice acting's a little off, his war cries and whatnot, but I think he's a good character, and I like the cast of characters. So yeah, next up we have John, Lost Judgment, the Kaito files. You finished it. So are you done with your journey now?
Oh, you finished Lost Judgment? Oh, that was the
reached the
DLC.
end.
That's right.
I've reached the end of the road. I did the Kaito files, and like,
wow.
I ended up like, I loved that too. Like I enjoyed that like as much as I enjoyed the regular game. It was I put I don't know, like 7-8 hours into it. And what really surprised me about the DLC is the game, it has like a really happy ending, like relatively speaking. Which, you know, most video games have happy endings, but in the Yakuza franchise, I'm just used to random people dying in like the last 15 seconds. Just to make things hard on somebody. But you know, like again, it's not a perfectly happy ending here, but I'm trying not to spoil things. Bottom line, I was so thrilled with like the unexpected happy ending that happens here that like I literally put my fists up and went, yay! Because I was completely blindsided by the fact that like the characters actually got what they wanted. Like that just, the games don't usually end like that. It's usually like some bittersweet sacrifice of some kind, but this time like things just work out. And I was like absolutely delighted. I was in like a really good mood for the rest of that day. So like this is like the perfect note to end on till Like a Dragon 8 hits. So yep, I'm
or
at
Ishin or Ishin or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'll be playing Ishin soon enough. So I'm really looking forward to
once
that.
the excitement wore off, did you sit there like in like a somber mood and like just sit and reflect on the last year of Yakuza stuff?
I am pleased with this journey that I have undergone. I feel it has enriched my life. It's rare that you play 8. Yeah, it's rare that you play like 10 games in a row and am generally very satisfied with all of them. That doesn't happen very much.
It's
So-
funny because I was listening to another podcast a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember which one it was, but the person
been Kid
loved it was definitely wasn't getting Krista. But the person that was talking about it loved the Yakuza game they played, but he also said that he tried to play like 3 Yakuza games in a row and got way burned out. And he's like, so I feel like that's like the wrong way to play these games because I just got way too burned out way too quick. And I'm like, no, I know someone that says otherwise.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. That was
John's
just a
not
nonstop
human.
party. Well, it's funny. There was at least a couple games where I reached the end of it, and I was like, "All right, I think I'm good for a while." And then like I immediately started playing another one, and I was just back in the.
You're like,
thick of
I just
things,
want to
dude.
see the opening. I just want to check it out, see how it
Yeah.
starts, and then you played it for 6 hours straight. You're
Yeah,
like, okay,
exactly. Yeah, I was like, all right, like I'm gonna hit pause here. I'll leave this. I'll let this sit. Then like, let's see what Kiryu's up to in this game. And, like, 40 hours pass by, but
I'm just
I
glad
don't
you're
regret
addicted to Yakuza instead of like killing people or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Like
I'd hope
hentai porn or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, so everything's working out. But it is kind of worth offering one disclaimer, and I guess this would kind of be a disclaimer for Mary, actually. Yakuza Kiwami, which is the remake of 1, so it's usually the game you play after 0. Kiwami feels like DLC for 0. Like, the menus are the same, the gameplay feels almost identical, like, it kind of... It'd be too harsh to call it phoned in because they redid all the cinematics and it's a very pretty
Mhm.
game, but like to me compared to 0 it just sort of felt like copy paste. Except Kiwami's also way harder. Like way harder. Like I was not prepared for how much harder it is. Yeah.
Oh
That's no
boy.
problem for you. Yeah.
Is there a secret charismatic autobiography that I need to watch out for?
I don't think so, but
I don't
there's
think.
a fight against Majima actually that's really hard, and there's a guy who has guns, and it is the most frustratingly cheap fight where I just spammed healing items to survive. Like it is one of the worst designed boss fights I've ever seen in my life. But other than that, the game's okay. You know, it's funny. Out of the whole franchise, I think I rank Kiwami last, actually. The
Huh.
first game. Yeah, so
Oh, that was the first one. Okay.
yeah. I mean, Yakuza was the first one, but then Kiwami remade it, so it's a
Gotcha.
remake.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gotcha.
yeah. But,
Next up
yeah.
on the list, we have Greg. He's playing Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. How's that going? This is the game that's
Good.
available on Amazon Luna, but not Xbox.
Yeah.
I got
Did you
it on
see
PC.
the developer behind it? His previous game was on Game Pass, and when someone asked about is it coming to Xbox, he's like, "Unfortunately, no, but I can't talk about it." It's like, what
That's
happened?
weird.
Like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
What was the previous game?
Must have slept with someone's daughter. They're
Blazing
like,
Chrome.
yep, you're done for.
That's your first
Jesus.
thought?
he's such a weird person.
He was a murderer.
He was a
Actually,
murderer.
the
You
two
son of a
main
bitch, you-
developers at that studio, they're Brazilians and they're married to each other. So there you go.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So it would destroy the studio if they slept with somebody at Microsoft.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sure wouldn't work.
Anyway,
Greg, how's the game?
Microsoft slept with them. Pretty good. I do like like initially I didn't know where to start, and some of the levels I think are pretty damn hard right off the bat.
Mm.
But then it like just kind of eased up a bit, and I felt like the like health and special drops were becoming more abundant. The boss battles started to get a little bit easier to manage. I do like the just the night, like John hit the nail on the head with it. It was just like the 90s, like that, like kind of grungy aesthetic alien feel to it. I always love the like how they do explosions, how they're always like
Yeah.
Yeah.
weird. Yeah,
Very
like that.
chunky.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
that's the 90s shit I want put in my veins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I'm hit or miss with the platforming. So the double jump is like is an item that you assign to yourself in 2
Yeah, you
slots.
equip it.
Yeah, and you have to discover it, and if you don't explore a certain part of the area, but then like at one point when I was first playing it, I acquired it and I was like, oh, sick. Then I died, and then I hit continue, but it unequipped the double jump and put like another item in its
Oh, really?
place. So I didn't have it, and I was like,
Oh,
what
that's weird.
I just unlocked this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but out of are those are the only levels, right? The 11 areas that you go to, or is there like a boss battle?
So you do the opening level, I think, right? And then there's 7 levels that you can choose from Mega Man style. And
Oh
then
yeah.
there's mm, is it 2? I think there might be 2 levels after that, but like I don't recall them being that long. And one of them's actually mostly another like vehicle level.
Yeah, so I have like 2 more left in the main area, which is I like, I was able to sit down in a single sitting hour and a half and chug through most of it. And
Yeah.
it's satisfying gameplay. There's a lot to explore. There's areas that I didn't go to that I wanted to, and I was like, maybe I should just go back and play the first level and discover all the items. Yeah, and like the platforming is fun. Frustrating with some of the enemy types, but I overall I do like it for its challenge. I'm like, like I said, it took me a while to ease into it, but then I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I picked 2 of the hardest stages like first by accident. So
I think I did the
after
same
that,
too.
after that, like the rest of the game kind of felt like kind of easy comparatively. Like,
Yeah.
like oh,
Greg, you're also playing Marvel Snap. Oh, and by the way, that game, I really want to play it. If it was on Xbox, I would play it, but I don't want to buy it on PlayStation.
No, I got it. I've been playing on my phone. And,
oh, it's on your
I'm
phone?
almost, yeah. And then I'm
Is
almost.
it cheaper on phone?
Wait. Greg was talking about Marvel Snap now. Brett was talking
Oh,
about
I'm sorry.
Rider still.
I left and came back. My bad.
No. You brought up Marvel Snap, but then you started talking about Moonrider still. So that confused me.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
So I messed up my talking. I made it confusing. Yeah, I was talking about Vengeful
I am playing
Guardian.
Marvel Snap.
Okay.
Now let's get to Marvel Snap.
Can we talk about Marvel Snap? So I'm playing on my phone. I'm almost tempted to get it. I believe it's on Steam. I would never have guessed that I would like a card game, and what the hell am I doing? Because I'm like match after match after match. I'm like, I finally hit I just had it up right now. Level 21 bronze, but like I'm playing like, I don't know, like 10, 15 matches at a time. Like I'm not stopping and I'm doing well. And like I really like I think the main thing I like about it, it's like I've never played Gwent, but my a friend of mine was telling me it's very similar to Gwent, but I find it more similar to like chess or something like that. And I love chess, but just like trying to determine where your opponent's going to go, what card they're going to play, what move they're going to use, like developing a strategy around it, where you're going to move. You only have, a set of each card has a cost to it and a power, and your goal is to load up as much power in these 3 sections, and they open up over the first 3 turns, so you don't know what 2 and 3 are going to be on the first turn, but each of those lanes has like different rule sets to them, and then you don't recycle any of the power that you don't use. So like if your first move, you have to have a card that's worth 1 cost, 1 power to put down. And if you don't shuffle that through your deck in the deck that you built, you can't put anything down and you skip your turn. And so it's like, oh, I need to rebuild a better deck now. And so like, I'm like, what am I doing? Am I really building a deck for a card game? Like this is not Apex Legends. This is not Rocket League. And like, I just keep finding myself like, pooping for like 45 minutes just so I but seriously though, it really is that good. Like
experience.
Yeah, I'm like and not only that, like I think I enjoy it more so because I think I like have a pretty good understanding about it, but I'm also winning quite a bit. And I'm like, this feels good to, use my brain a little bit, use some critical thinking skills, some how like because there's like multiple cards that you can put down that'll affect one another and the places you put them and then the other lanes that you're in. And so it's like I'm constantly like thinking, oh, I could put this here, and if I put this next one here, and I'm like thinking, 3 or 4 steps ahead in it. And I don't know, I just really love the strategy about it, the way the cards are designed, the simplicity of it, but it's also, pretty complex at the same time. I'm really enjoying it. I'm like super surprised.
I heard all the hype. I heard everyone talking about it. So I downloaded it on my G Cloud, opened it up, clicked the first card, and then deleted it and uninstalled it. And I was like, I don't want to play this because I don't like card games.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I did the
it's
same
just
thing.
really not my thing at all. Like I get no satisfaction out of any card game. But yeah,
I
I'm
played
glad
it
you're
a
enjoying
lot
it.
and like
once.
I'd even talk about the snapping feature is like basically like if you were like playing like blackjack or something in a casino, you hit snap if you know you've got like if you feel
Oh,
like you want to
snap.
bluff, and yeah, it goes
Oh,
oh
snap.
snap, and it'll like it's basically like saying like, oh, I've got this in the bag. Even you can do it right off the bat, or you can wait until you have like a really tense moment and you're like, hey, this guy could crush me if they put a card down in this place. And I'll usually put a card down and then hit it, so it says oh snap, and then your opponent can snap back. And so you're like thinking like, oh man, did I play the right one? Did I snap? Am I overconfident? I don't know. It's just like it's so simple, but like it's like, I don't know, brings out the competitive nature in me, and I like it.
Nice.
Forever disappointed that's not like Pokemon Snap.
Yeah. Remember, like
He's taking
for
pictures
years.
of Wolverine.
Yeah.
For years, I was clamoring for a Pokemon Snap, like a new one. And then when that one came out, and Brett went halvesies with me on it, of course.
Yeah.
And it was not fun or not entertaining. Like I don't know
loved
what it
it.
is about it, and I
It's so
still enjoy.
relaxing.
I still enjoy the original more. Like I still have played that one since that one came out, and I like it. But yeah, Brett, you're playing The Witcher 3, really deep inside of this one.
I am
how's it
all
going?
up inside of The Witcher 3, all up in there. Yeah, so you guys know like my story with Witcher 3. I played it twice years ago. Both times I got, I don't know, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours into it and just fizzled out and couldn't get hooked by it. I don't know why. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it this time. It's like hailed as one of the best all time. I'm gonna give it another shot. So it was a little bit of a slow time after Callisto, and I'm like, we got a little time before like shit hits the fan in late January, February. So if the any time to start it and get some good hours in, it would be now. And I gotta say, my first 5, 6, 7 hours again were kind of the same. It was just kind of dragged, and it was it wasn't grabbing me and not engaging. I don't know why, but the opening to that game to me doesn't do it for me. However, I am fully in now. Like I am
Deep.
It just like that also just clicked for me, and I am totally loving it now. Just did for in case Mary ever plays it, I won't like go into details, but there was the big battle at Kaer Morhen. I don't know if there's going to be another one. There may be several, but there was a very big battle at Kaer Morhen, and that whole part was so cool. Like gathering the characters and having them all meet together and like going out to the journeys and like talking them into to come in and helping you join them, join you in this fight, and then seeing the battle happen after all these hours of like getting these people, like asking people for their assistance, and then just seeing it go down. I loved it. I thought it was like one of the really cool gaming experiences I've had. And like, I'm a little past that now, but that was like the moment where I was like, holy shit, now I get it. Like this game's amazing. Like it's awesome. And I'm I always know I'm into a game when I catch myself thinking about it when I'm not playing it, or like if I'm at work, I'll know that I'm really into a game if I'm sitting there thinking about it. And that's like every day for the last like 4 or 5 days. I just like when I'm at work or something, I'm thinking about it. So like I'm totally in. I'm loving it. And the
Is this
only
before or
thing,
after the sex?
that
it
During.
clicked.
for some reason else, I was thinking you meant like my own personal sex life. I was like, well, that's kind of a personal drag, don't you think?
I did mean your personal life. Tell me about it.
Detail. Deep.
The only thing, and I was telling Mary this, the only negative is I'm so into it now, and I want to just like I want to experience all of it. I want to go like do all the side stuff.
Don't.
But I know deep down that there's no way because I'm trying to like I want to finish this within like the next month or two before like all these games come out, and then I'm gonna have to put it on the back burner because when new games come out, I get excited. I want to play that. I want to play the new shiny thing and put whatever else I'm playing usually on the back burner. And I want to play this and I want to beat it before that all happens. And I know if I start going down the side missions rabbit hole, I won't.
But don't go crazy.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is it's like a double-edged sword because if I don't do any of the side stuff, I know I'm missing some amazing stuff too. So it's like it kind of sucks that aspect of it, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. I'm just so glad you're playing it. I honestly did not think you were ever going to play The Witcher 3 because it doesn't really seem like a Brett game. Yeah, I don't know. Like combat wise, the way it's structured, very long, lots of dialogue. I just didn't really expect you to get invested.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you did. I'm like super happy.
Finally invested. I will say that I still don't care for the combat. Like the combat is by far that game's weakest point. And like the when you're riding Roach, that's very janky at times, and it's almost like maddening. And it's like it almost makes me not even want to get on the horse sometimes because it can be so janky at times. But you know, I don't let that stuff ruin my experience.
There's something also kind of charming about the jank with Roach. Like it's so funny sometimes. Like one time he was floating above my head, and I was just like, "Roach, how'd you get up there?"
Like you silly guy.
But yeah, that's awesome. You're playing Madden 23. Did you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, not really. As much as you guys know, I'm like a huge sports fan, but I don't normally play sports games because it's like when I play games, I want to play
The
like
actual
video
ones.
games. I watch enough sports. I don't need to also play sports when I'm playing as well. But it's the playoffs are on right now, and my son has been like super into like wanting to play Madden with me, and so I played probably more Madden in the last week than I have the last 5 years combined. So I've been playing that a little bit with my son, but it's been cool because I'm playing with him and it's fun. It's like a bonding thing between us. So
that's awesome. As for me, I beat Elden Ring. I cannot believe it. I made my way through. It's extremely hard and sometimes in like very aggravating RPG that's structured in a very strange way that I don't fully understand how it became so popular, being so weird, but it was really fun. It was a really satisfying experience to be able to actually make my way through it because it is like a Souls game. I feel some type of like I really accomplished something because I beat the game. And yeah, I just can't believe that this game set the world on fire. Not because it's not great, but because it's so intimidating. It's so like it doesn't tell you anything. Like how did so many people find enjoyment out of something that can be so aggravating, but also intriguing? So it's like, yeah, I'm very surprised. And like the platinum ratio and like the 1,000 out of 1,000 ratio on Xbox and PlayStation, super high. So it's like not only did people love this game and like bought it, like I think was it like 10 million or 20 million or something crazy like that.
Stupid, yeah.
Like not only did they love it, but they freaking did almost everything they could. Like they
wanted to like, experience everything.
Like,
yeah.
That is wild to me. Like I enjoyed the game, but I would never in a million years want to go back and platinum and do everything, or even replay it. Like I've no like want to replay the game as like a different build, like I know a lot of people do. Like
So
I'm
you're
done.
saying this
Like,
game's really bad.
no, it's like it's just
The worst.
it's almost like
I feel like I would
haunting
just be so
to
worn
think
down.
about. It's haunting
Yeah.
to think about
Oh, man.
replaying the game and like experiencing the highs and the lows.
If I could imagine pick like a physical picture of what it feels like to beat that game, it would be like someone literally on their hands and knees crawling across the finish line and then just collapsing. Like that's how I imagine that. I would want, if I beat it, I'd be like, fuck this game. I don't ever want to see this again. Like, I'm glad I beat it. I'm done.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally cheesed some bosses. I totally level grinded like crazy and found a really good rune section to get like tons of runes and just level grind and make the game somewhat easier. But at the end of the day, I still beat it, so that's all that matters.
All that matters.
And I enjoyed it.
Another game that we split that I'll never play.
Exactly. All these games that you keep splitting with me. You're playing a Fire Emblem, God damn it.
Now I'm gonna play Engage. Yeah.
Do it.
And I also finished this week Euden Chronicle Rising. This was a game on Game Pass, another JRPG.
Ish.
Yeah, ish. It's a side-scrolling action RPG that is absolutely beautiful. I love the art direction. I think I talked about it quite a bit last week, so I won't go into it like heavily, but it was just a really addicting game with like its stamp system. They're like little like side quests that you do, but every time you complete like a certain amount, you unlock the ability to add more combos to the combat. Like you're able to have like characters jump in, do a special, have another character jump in, do a special. So there's like a reason to do that. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The final boss was like a total level spike, in my opinion, or a difficulty spike. So that was kind of annoying because like the whole game was just like smooth sailing, somewhat like relaxing. Like was never very challenging, but you're constantly dodging and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. But then the final boss, it's like, okay, I gotta sit up. I actually gotta do this. Like this is hard. I'm sweating. But it was a really good experience. Story-wise, no idea what's happening, but I do know that these characters are in the next game that I'm gonna give it like a try with the story, and the sequel that's coming out, I think this year now, 100 Heroes, is also coming to Game Pass, and it's a turn-based game, and these characters are in it, but so are like 97 other people that you can play as in the game. It's literally you can choose from 100 different characters. So I'm definitely gonna try and have all of them in my party. Like when I finally come across them in the game store or whatever, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm finally with you again." So yeah, it was
That
really
sounded
great.
like you said Ayuden.
Oh, finally with you, then.
Heyo, bringing it full circle.
Yeah. And then lastly, I put a lot of hours into Tales of Arise over the past like 3 or 4 days. I played like 5 hours almost every single day now.
Nice.
And I'm about 35 hours in now, and it's really good. It's way better than I gave credit to in the beginning. Like, I wasn't very invested in the story or the characters. I always thought the game was stunning, but it also starts you off in like a very rundown, like you're literally a slave. Like that's what your character is, and that's actually what the whole game story revolves around, which I personally haven't experienced much in like a main story. Is like basically setting slaves free from all these places that are being run by cruel kings and queens and whatnot. And they're called lords in this game, and the whole goal is to kill all the lords and free all the slaves. And it's really cool how much they dive into the detail when it comes to living as a slave, and how different like parts of the country the slaves are treated like totally different. Like there's one town you go into where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm still technically a slave, but I mean, I'm really happy. Like I have a family, we go shopping, everything's fine. I mean, yeah, sure, I can't leave if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Everything's perfectly fine.
That's just called being employed in our lives.
Exactly. So yeah, like there's this town you go into and you're expecting like to see like what you've seen up until that point, which is just people like living on the streets, like just people literally laying on the ground, like either asleep or dead. I don't even know. And no, like everyone's all happy, and it's like, no, everything's going good. But then, of course, there's always some type of dark twist to it that like things aren't always what they seem. Maybe they're secretly killing hundreds of people. I'm not sure. So yeah, I just think that the story is a lot better than I thought. And guys, I gotta say, this is visually one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like, it is a beautiful art style, stunning. I was talking about it earlier, like, it's so beautiful that it's hard to believe that this game made any money back, because I'm just like, all the money that went towards these visuals, how did it get a return on investment with these visuals? Yeah, I don't know if everyone feels this way, but I honestly think it's a breathtaking game. Like, beautiful vistas, very linear environments, which is probably how they extracted such beautiful visuals in the world, is because it's a very linear like time. Like, it sometimes opens up a little bit, but it's never like a fully open world, which honestly I prefer. I like these more like linear environments compared to a giant world nowadays. Unless it's something like Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring, where the whole game is structured around, like, the mechanics are built around having an open world. I prefer this usually. I just think it's really fun, and the characters are actually really interesting. There's a lot of story stuff. However, I'm doing something really weird with this game. Really weird. And this is my final rant. So this game has tons of cutscenes, like literally tons. Like, and you stop. You don't have to, but you should, because you get more lore and more character interactions in the open world. A little icon in the bottom corner will pop up that says RB, and it's like, okay, you click RB, and then it just plays a cutscene. Like, they're just talking, like, on their adventure. Instead of them talking really throughout the world, like when you're traveling, you have to stop and listen to this. However, I found a way around it. I brought up a 16-hour long YouTube video of all the cutscenes of the game. And now I follow along on the YouTube app where I'm at in the game, and I click play. I click play on the spot. Like, I trigger the cutscene on the game.
What, are you saving like 10 seconds?
No, dude. These cutscenes can be like legitimately 5 to 10 minutes long sometimes. So I skip the cutscene on my game, but then I listen to it, the conversation, because that's all it is, the conversation, and continue the gameplay to travel the world, explore, fight, do combat. So I'm literally playing the game like twice almost at the same time. I'm listening to like the conversational stuff, but I'm playing it to continue forward. And then by the time I'm at the next spot, there's another cutscene. Just continue press and play, and I skip the cutscene while in my game, but then listen to it or watch it depending on how important it is. There are some bigger, like more like robust cutscenes and like crazy fights and stuff. I'm obviously going to watch those on the TV. And there's actually like these like anime style cutscenes like Persona does, which I'm definitely watching those because they're like beautifully done. But for the most part, there's so much that I can just listen to because they're just like just conversations between the characters.
You son of a bitch, you've done it. You hacked the mainframe.
You did it.
I do.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how Brett beats 70 games a year.
Exactly. This is how you do it.
Liar.
No, but for real, I was looking up how long to beat, and I think like the how long to beat said like 35 hours, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Like, the cutscene, there's 16 hours worth of cutscenes. You're telling me half of the game is cutscenes. I don't know how anyone could have beaten this game in 35 hours without doing my method that I'm doing right now. Unless they skipped all of these optional interactions, and I'm not skipping them. I want to know everything between the characters, but I also don't want to sit here and stare at my TV and two characters talking at the same time when it's not always the greatest thing. Sometimes it's really deep, awesome stuff, but a lot of times they're just talking about catching fish or some shit. So sometimes it's worth stopping and listening and watching, but most of the time I'm just listening to them in my headphones, like while I'm playing the game, and it's just like, it's sped up the game, like ultimately, like I'm always doing something. So it's almost making the pacing of the game way better as well. So yeah, I just think it was a very weird way to play a game, but I think it's working for this game in particular because of how much cutscenes there are. Like 16 hours worth. That's a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah.
And it's all. What's great is it's all voice acted. That is rare. Like almost everything is voice acted. So I can literally just listen to it. And yeah, someone's banging up right above my head. I don't know if you guys can hear that extremely loud noise.
A little bit.
I'm trying to talk so my voice cuts it out, like in the background. But,
so anyway,
so yeah, it's just this game's really fun. But yeah, Tales of Arise, it's really fun so far. The story gets much better. The characters grow on you because at first it's almost like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I thought really captivated me the entire time, whereas this game takes time to really get its hooks in you when it comes to the character and story stuff. Because
Yeah, I was considering getting this game once upon a time during one of those many holiday sales, but then I
Mhm.
kept kind of hearing things like that where like I kept hearing people say like it's okay and like that's it. So
I
it's
mean,
like, all right.
I can totally like get what they mean, but I do think it ramps up a lot in certain ways.
Mm.
And I'm in late game now, so I think I have, if I keep doing my method, I probably have like 10,
The
15 more
medlock
hours.
method. We need to start a seminar and teach people the medlock method.
I'm telling you, man, this is the way to play this game. Like it's
That's
great.
awesome.
Cool.
Because they do like, it's all optional stuff. So technically, someone could play through this game and only experience the mainline story stuff. But that's not what you want out of an RPG. Like you want to get to know the characters and all their background and like how their brother died and why they're sad in that moment and all that stuff. Just random shit. So yeah, I think it's really good. And this has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast. Thanks for listening to me rant all episode. And sorry, I didn't come prepared as I should have for the Ubisoft stuff. It was sort of like a last minute thing. I didn't look up like any of their sales stats or figures or anything, but I really wanted to talk about that because they're just so freaking weird. The weirdest company. Like they just make terrible choices and then wonder what happened, guys. Like why'd we what's going on?
Like they're all pointing fingers at each other in a room. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mistake with that, but hopefully it wasn't so bad to listen to. And if you made it this far, thanks for hanging out. It really means a lot. Please leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That would be awesome. Thank you to all the audio listeners out there who continue to grow the podcast. It's really cool. You guys rule. And we will talk to you guys later. Everybody say bye since I just talked for the last like 20 minutes straight.
Bye.
See you guys next
Bye.
week. Peace.
Oh snap.